Welcome everyone to Unlearning. We love having guest speakers with us because not only do Roxy and I enjoy meeting people, we also like learning from them. Today we have Vince Uy. He's a creative director and a fashion expert, and he will share with us his experience as part of the LGBTQIA community and how it helped him grow as an individual. Hello, Vince. Thanks for being with us here
Hello,
today.
me.
Hello, thank you for being here. I guess what I first and foremost, I'm not sure if it's out in the open, but I do want the public to know how was your coming out of the closet journey? Was it difficult? Was it good? And how did it happen? And when did it happen?
Well, it happened a long time ago, but it was a journey for me. It was a mix of highs and lows. I think because I came from I studied in a conservative co-ed school, Chinese school. So that in itself, I think, made me question a lot about my sexuality, my my preference, and who I am, uh,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And um, so I knew there was a point in time where I knew I might be gay, but I wasn't really sure.
Yeah.
I feel like you have to really go through it. Alam mo yun, the whole thing of discovering yourself. And for some people, it takes them a while longer. For
Yeah.
me, I think the defining moment was when I had my first relationship, which was, of course, with my first boyfriend. And parang that made me realize who I am. Uh, and and I had to, for me, kasi the first step is to really accept yourself,
Yeah.
more than anything. And I that was the first step that I took. And then of course I told my friends. Eventually I told also my sister. But I also kind of was hiding pa din. And that was a time where it wasn't really, um I think, common for my group of my circle, no, to to be out and to be open about it. And there was still a stigma na parang, parang iba pa rin, gay men are, you know um discriminated still, like, they were looked at as, gusto maging ako kasi I had a connotation before na parang pag bakla ka, oh, when you're gay, uh, you either want to be a girl,
Uh-huh.
or parang it was really, for me, it was sort of like I was really so confused with the notion of being gay.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I can remember that the very first time I came out and I met a group of similar gay men, I was surprised to see them all looking like guys,
Yeah.
like normal guys. And I was like, oh, you all look like guys. And then, like, yeah, because we're gay men. And I'm like, oh, okay. So slowly at that time, and I remember I was just first year college at the time. And I remember I learned so many things about what it is to be gay, what it's like. And I was really, kumbaga, happy, coming out to myself. But again, the challenge was really to come out with to my parents, and it took me another
Yeah.
decade to actually do it. Would you believe?
Oh, wow. That's
So that was
crazy.
really, yeah, because I come from a Chinese-Filipino family, and I mean, to my knowledge, there was no single gay person in our entire family. Um, so it was really sort of like, how I had a feeling where my parents knew but didn't want to talk about it. It's sort
Yeah.
of like culture that I guess most families have, like a don't
Mm-hmm.
talk about it, or like, kind of culture. And I feel like that is also something that I feel like a lot of gay youth, LGBTQI plus youth now, um, is that's how they are different now from what I was during my time, because now everyone is more vocal.
Yeah.
Everyone has has, I guess, the strength to talk about it. And during my time, it was rare to find people who have the strength to talk about it. So it took me 10 years, and and then I remember this before coming out. An ex of mine gave me a book, How to Come Out. So
Ah, okay,
it's sort of
helpful.
like a, yeah. It actually helped me because
Uh-huh.
it also taught me a lot of things. Like, the book says that, it's life changing
Mm-hmm.
once you come out to, to people who are very important to you. And also, the book says that coming out should be a celebration. It shouldn't be something that you are crying about, or scared about. And
Yeah.
then the people that you are coming out to need to see that you are celebrating yourself. You are proud of who you are, as opposed to being ashamed of who you are. That's why you're
Yes.
coming out. So I think those things parang are for me. I think that what guided me. So yeah,
Mhm.
so I came out, when I was 28,
Okay.
28 to my parents. Um, and Yeah, it was a fun, interesting moment for me. Fun because they accepted me.
Okay.
Uh,
That's good.
Interesting because, it's interesting to see them react
Mm-hmm.
to to um me talking about it, because when I had a conversation with them, I was actually ready to leave the house in case the worst scenario.
Oh,
Oh my God, I mean, for me, I just, I'm kind of so prepared that I envision the worst, what could possibly be the worst thing to happen
to be
if I come
disowned.
out to my parents. So I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna be disowned, or if they're gonna, make me leave the house, at least I'm prepared. I can live on my own. I have my own job. I am like ready.
Ready, yeah.
So I'm at peace. So when I came out, I just told them that, I'm at a point in my life where I'm really happy,
Mm-hmm.
but something is keeping me from becoming, at peace with myself, and truly happy, and that is knowing that my parents don't know who I am,
Yeah.
the real me. And then I told them that I'm gay. They were quiet at first, and then my dad hugged me, and he said that it's okay. I don't
Mm.
care what other people are, gonna say. uh, you are our son, and we are so proud of you. And my mom said that, and I can't forget this, that a lot of people will try to bring you down, so you have to be extra strong. um,
Oh,
we are here for you, but always remember that a lot of people are there to bring you down. So be strong. Um, and there, and it was like from a serious to like a very like jokingly conversation. Like, okay, now that we're past that, when did you know? I mean, I kept on asking them. And then they were. It was so funny because my parents are like really like very very cool parents. Actually, they're very, like chill. Um, so when I came out, I was surprised that they would just really be open to conversing about it. It's different. I
yeah.
would tell my friends who are not yet out, but I have friends who are not out, but they say that their parents know and it's okay. And I don't I have nothing against that,
Yeah, yeah.
because I believe that, you to each his own. You have your
Mm.
own way of coping and dealing. But for me, what worked for me is that the fact that I can actually talk about my life, who
Yeah.
I am, um, and be open about it. And for me, after that, my parents, ever since that time I came out, I was very open with my life.
Yeah.
And my parents knew who I was dating, and I felt like I wasn't a second class citizen in the
Yes.
family.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you are part of the family. Me and my boyfriend right now, we are part of the family. There's no um hierarchy of who is more deemed of the love of my parents. It's like we're all like equal.
Exactly. I think there's so many layers in that story, honestly, because first, because we recently had an episode about Chinese families. in the
Mm-hmm.
Philippines. And if Filipino families are conservative, Chinese families are like the next level. So
Yes,
you coming out to your parents and being accepted, I think is such a, I could imagine, such a freeing, liberating feeling.
it
And
is.
it's so, I just also feel so bad, sad for people who cannot have that exact experience. And based from what you said, so first, I guess what's important is really understanding yourself. Second is surrounding yourself with people who know about yourself, your true self, who care about you. Because you told your family, your friends, and it was your friend who gave you that book. And maybe, do you remember the name of that book? Baka we can tell our listeners to also read it.
Okay, I'm gonna try to see if I remember it correctly. I'm gonna send you a message if I see the book online.
Sige. Yeah, that will be great. We can share it to the listeners. But
Yes.
I guess, in the first part of being gay or being part of the LGBTQ community is understanding yourself, accepting yourself, and telling your family. The next part of that is, as you said, being accepted by the society. And what I truly admire about you, and that's why I wanted you to be in our podcast. Yeah, you and your relationship with Nino is very open. And it's even, you're also not just open, but you're proud of it. So I guess I also want to just ride on that kind of relationship, because I could imagine that a lot of people are in a relationship but cannot expose it to the world for some reason. May it be because they're not accepted by the family or whatever reason. So I guess I also want to start with that. How did you guys meet actually?
We met at of all places, a gay bar. It was
Okay.
we were both hanging out with our each of our own groups in a gay club.
Okay.
And there, that was it. And that's how we met. Actually, I found him cute, so I had my friend introduce us, and after that we started dating, and that was it. Actually, and I found out that we were both in the same situation where we really wasn't in the mood to
Ah.
go out that night because it was a holiday. That was Independence Day, June 12th.
Oh.
I remember it as it happened, as it was, as I remember it like it was just yesterday.
Oh, cute. Uh,
So there.
yeah, post COVID, when COVID is done and everyone is vaccinated, that is where maybe people can meet other people in clubs, you know.
Well,
Um,
now it's different. I mean, you can meet, new friends online,
I know,
but it's
yeah,
still different. I mean, the human interaction is still different. The physicality of,
of course.
interaction is still different. But I mean, we this is the world that we're living in right now.
I know, we cope. I mean, I met my boyfriend on online dating, so it
See,
works.
there you go.
Because I don't want to go to bars. And now you've been together for like 10 years, tama ba?
Yeah, 10
10
years.
years.
Yes,
Oh
yes,
gosh.
yes. We've been
And
together.
what is it about Nino that made you stay for the long term? Or let's also phrase it differently. What made you choose him?
You know what? We always say that it's that, it sounds cheesy, but we just realize that we learn to enjoy each day as it is, and then we realize it's been 10 years. I think that is something that I unlearned, the
Mhm.
idea that you have to plan ahead, you have to make sure everything works out so that you last longer. I think
Mhm.
I used to be like that type of person who projects so many things, like, okay, we're gonna be like this on our fifth year, on our fourth year, we're gonna do this. And I feel like when I met him, I had to unlearn those things,
Yeah.
unlearn those concept, and just enjoy each day as it is.
Yeah.
um and I think that's one of the reasons why our relationship worked. And
Mhm.
we always say that, when you are in a relationship, it's really a choice to be with that person. It's a choice you make every single day. You wake up, you you see the person you love, and you choose to be with that person, because it's different where when you don't choose to be with a person, when you don't want to be with that person. And I always tell this to our friends as well, that it being in a relationship also is takes work. It's not a smooth sailing fantasy dream world. It's
Yeah.
and you have to be mature enough to know that you need to work on something if there's something that needs working on. So I
Yeah.
think that's how we made it work.
Mhm.
And I think for me, the beauty of being together, because we've lived together since, I think, on our first year,
Okay.
um till now. So we constantly also grow as individuals and also as people in a relationship. So it's sort of like a constant progression of things for
Yeah.
us.
Okay. That's really interesting. And I guess when it comes to, so right now you and your partner are in a really good place. Like there's no shame. You're very proud of it. But
Yes.
was there ever a time in the past, maybe even as individual people, even before you were dating, that this was not the case? That you were afraid to express your love for each other? Yeah. Did it ever happen before?
You know, actually, there were it's funny because I think me and Nina were fortunate enough to be within this time frame where we were part of a certain time where it wasn't, being gay wasn't as accepted as how it is now. So we were able to be in that situation where we also progressed with the times, wherein
Mm.
I can see myself not before. I remember our very very first few dates, which was
Uh-huh.
what, in like 2010. 10 years ago. It was a little taboo for us to hold hands in public, or we
Yeah.
would be, aloof when we would
Mm.
like kiss. I mean, of course, we are showy when
Mm.
it's within our circle of friends, but of course when you're, in public places, or like in a
Mm.
mall or in a restaurant, we tend to be more, I would say, careful. um
Okay.
but now, fast forward to 10 years after, we are very proud. We are It's more normal for us to be touchy, to hold hands,
Yeah.
to show, like, I can hug him, and like hold his arms when we walk, and um knowing that people won't judge us, or if they do, I don't care at this point. And I'm like, it's so different. Before, I would say there was really more of, um what would you say, that we were more careful, we were more maybe scared
Yeah.
to show the physicality of our relationship. But now it's so different. It's so different now. So
Yeah.
I'm glad actually that there's that progression also.
Yeah. And did you have any bad experience before? Like, I don't know, like people calling out on you? Because I also hear these horror stories. So I was wondering if you also experienced it. Like, when,
Um,
yeah.
mm, well, I guess on social media, people are ruthless, and I've been through that situation so many times, where people comment that, you should die, or gays don't have a place in this. For me,
Oh,
you
wow.
just learn to know your place in this world.
Okay.
You also know. For me, there's also when to fight back,
Uh huh.
and when it's a fight that's worth it, and when it's useless, because like people with like there are also so many trolls,
Yes.
now. So those are really useless. But to use your platform to educate people who you feel, can have the capacity to change their minds, to change their point of views, I think that is more worthwhile.
Uh-huh.
So there, yeah.
So I guess, I mean, with social media and your haters, basically, you just ignore them. And if it's if they hate on you, then you just ignore them. But if it's more of a learning and educational kind of comment, then you address them.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Because there will always be trolls. There will always be people commenting for the sake of comments, as
Yes.
opposed to people who would start an argument. Then, if there's an argument, I'm all for hearing out each other's side and points of view, and hopefully changing someone else's point of view. So
Yeah.
I guess that's also the beauty of social media, where you can have an intelligent discourse, about things and topics
Exactly.
apart from trolls.
Let's just ignore them. Wala lang silang magawa sa buhay. It's fine. You guys also, you and Nino also had a huge controversy with the bench billboards. You guys were holding hands and the ASC decided to blur them out. So I guess I'm curious, like what was happening? What was going on in your head? How did you feel? Most especially that you're proud of your relationship. I mean, I could imagine that's why you did the ad, right?
Yeah.
But how did you guys feel during that time when it happened?
Uh, I think at the time, because our material, uh, we were the visual, that the unblurred version showed that me and Nino holding hands, and we
Uh-huh.
seem to have wedding bands. Me and Nino, we had this promise ring
Yeah.
from our first year anniversary till now. It's sort of
Mhm.
like a promise ring that, when it's legal to get married here in the Philippines, we will get married. And I think that is something that we are fighting for and looking forward for. That time was really full of mixed emotions, because
Yeah.
on the other hand, we were so happy, we were so proud to be able to represent the community, uh, and in such a way where we, as just regular individuals, get to represent the community, not
Yeah.
because we are celebrities, not because we are, actors. We are just the regular people. So when they actually approach us, we were like, "Are you sure about this?" We were even like really like thinking if that was really legit, like when we shot it. In fact, when we shot, it was just for, we knew it was for an in-store campaign.
Uh-huh.
But when they told us that it's going to be a billboard during our shoot, we were very excited, and we were like, what?
So cool.
Okay. And it's so cool to represent love. I
Yes.
think for me, the most beautiful part of it is that, the campaign that Bench did was, it shows you the different kinds of love. You have the parental love, you have the love between friends, and the love between two men, two women, and all of these things are equal.
Yeah.
So that is what made us really proud, and it felt really that, the Philippines is it's taking,
A
more
step.
steps
Yeah.
towards, you know uh, um, towards accepting the community. So with that whole fiasco of the blurring of the hands, in fact, when we were looking at it, we didn't even notice that our
Yeah.
hands were blurred, because we were so excited, right? And then it dawned on us that, wait, why are our hands blurred? And it was, to be honest, we really felt disappointed. um and I feel like it's a reflection of also, again, the push pull of how how accepting the Filipinos society in general is about us.
Yeah.
How it may be conditional. Again, remember we talked about this earlier, where sometimes it becomes acceptable only because it's convenient, but when it's not, then it doesn't. So that's that point that really sort of really hurt us.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I would like to, I look at things on a more positive note, wherein
Mhm.
it's still representation of our love,
Uh-huh.
um, and it gets people to talk about it. I feel like
Exactly.
to have a conversation and to open up issues that people need to be talking about is also important. Um, and I feel like it opened up a lot of conversations about is the state of the Philippines right now on with regards to acceptance, and hopefully, I mean, after that, I think we also have like progressed. Like for example, like just last year, I mean, yeah, right. Last year, actually, early last year, I think I read it in the news that the LGBTQ partners can be beneficiary of life insurance policies of some
Oh,
insurance companies. So for me, it's also getting there. It's sort of like those small steps that are worth taking.
yeah.
And of course, we can't expect uh sadly, because for me, I expected a really smooth and easy, um I guess, logistical process. But then
Yeah.
the idea that having to have our hands blurred, I think, I don't know, because it's been a long time. It's been like maybe 5 years. So
Yeah.
I remember that I think the idea of our hands being blurred was because it looked like we were married with
Yeah.
our
Rings.
common rings, like this one.
Ah,
and
okay.
and and I think that is what sort of, I don't know,
But were you able to confirm that it was because of the rings
I
or
wasn't sure. That was just one of my
ah,
speculations.
okay.
I'm like, maybe they don't want people to think that two men can get married. But my point is, it's not even about marriage. It's about being in a relationship, and of course, for me, ultimately, we want to get married, because that for me, gay marriage in general is really more of the legality of things, and
Yeah,
you want to be able to share a life with the person you love, and everything that goes with it, all the rights that go with it. So
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I could imagine that that's like shocking for you, but still, you had the billboard, so
yeah.
we're gonna go a little bit deeper. According to Lewis House, there are three big fears that hold people back. If you had to choose between the fear of failure, fear of success, or fear of judgment, which one is the biggest one for you?
Oh my God, that is such a difficult question.
I know it also made
Uh,
me think. It's hard.
it's hard. It's hard because, um, I think if you ask me before,
Uh huh.
it would be the fear of failure when I was younger. And
Yeah.
I feel like, because I guess it's a common trait, and I think a lot of people share this with me, the idea of, you know the fear of criticism,
Yes.
uh, the fear of dealing with failure, and how to bounce back from it. But now I feel like it's more of the fear of success for me.
Okay.
And it's weird because I know that a lot of us think that the pursuit of success is endless, like it's and I think that is what guides me, like
Mhm.
that, knowing that the pursuit of success is really, it doesn't end. And sometimes my notion of success is that it's a lonely place to be in, when you're successful, you tend to just be on your own, or you tend to think about what's next, and you feel like you've reached a certain point wherein
Yeah.
what's to do, right? And I think that is something where I've had so many thoughts about how how what is it like, when you reach the point of success, then your life becomes boring. There's
Yeah.
no joy, right? So for me, it's more of like, and also asking, where are you successful? or is there much more, like that idea. And that's why I guess I had this feeling, this fear of success, because um it feels like there's nothing to do more when you are there, and I
Yeah.
want to keep on doing more.
Yeah.
Like that feeling where it's like when you climb a mountain and then it's the end, but then you realize, oh wait, there's another mountain that I can climb, or
Yeah. Yeah.
there's that river that I want to see. So it's sort of like that feeling. So yeah.
Exactly. And I think also like growing, at least in my personal experience too, like growing up as an Asian, we have a very weird definition of success, or we don't know what success is. It could be high grades, amazing job, high paying job, etc. And then we realize, of course, as we grow older, that there are more things that define success.
Exactly,
Um,
exactly.
yeah. And
And it
how do
tends to
you?
get blurred, right? Like the feeling,
Yes.
like what success is about, and again, it sometimes to most people it's something tangible, but then technically it shouldn't be. It's sort of like a sense of achievement, more than the a manifestation of wealth, like as most
Exactly.
of people would think, or imagine.
Yeah. This is something that we should tell the young generation. And with the progression of from fear of failure to fear of success, how did you deal with those fears? And how did you get over even the fear of failure in the first place?
Actually, for me, it's more of really thinking about knowing that you can always learn.
Mm.
um,
Yeah.
and it's not about just failure per se, but the idea of learning from that. I think it's what people tend to forget also sometimes, that when you fail at something, it
Uh-huh.
makes you learn about so many things, so that you are prepared to not be in that situation again. So for me, it's a constant. And for me, I think the more you also uh, know how to deal with failure, and to grow, I think that is what makes you, stronger, as cliche as it may sound. But so for me, it's a great, and it's also a great balancing tool for life in general.
Yeah.
um like they always say that when you're up there, there's no place to go but down, right? So
Yes.
so that is also one of the reasons why I fear success, like it's so that's why I feel like success and failure, it's like they're always so connected,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
for me, I think the idea of knowing that you are constantly growing and learning, I think that is something that has made me cope with those two fears.
Yeah.
um and that it's never too late to learn. I mean, it's never too late to learn, to do something new. And again, it's again, we are talking about a journey here.
Yeah.
It's the entire journey, and not the destination. So I feel like, because people feel like success is a destination,
Yeah.
then it becomes really, that's when for me things get a little distorted.
Yeah.
uh so there. Yeah.
That is so true, because also we are in a world of immediate satisfaction, right?
Yeah.
If we want something, we get it like this, and then we then forget that everything else is a journey. We cannot get everything like this.
Yes, yes,
Um,
exactly.
so we also need to remind people that it's a journey.
It is a journey, and I feel like, yeah, you're right. Like we live in a world now where it's so easy to get things, right? But we both lived in a time where, it took a little longer to get to something that you want, or the idea of waiting for something, or working for something.
Oh my God, yes.
Diba? So yeah, it's an interesting time because it's again, um I mean, not for anything, but yes, I know we live in an instant gratification world, but there's so many things that take time yet still,
Yeah.
and I think it has a lot to do with more of like an internal feeling, an internal growth, or so for that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I would go back to the hard question when we started this podcast, is that if you had to rate between 1 to 10, 10 being the most accepting, how accepting are Filipinos to the LGBTQ community? What would your rating be?
Oh my God, it's so hard. Really, it is. I don't know. For me, I feel like it's from a rate of 1 to 10. I would maybe give it 5.
Okay.
5 maybe. I mean, then that's me being nice.
Yeah.
And being extra nice actually. But I feel like again, I mentioned earlier that it's really tricky, that question, because there are a lot of things, there are a lot of layers
Yeah.
when you talk about acceptance. It's not, for me, it's, I mean, of course there is that overt acceptance when we're in, people accept you for being who you are, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like Filipinos generally uh are accepting of the
Mhm.
LGBT plus community, but it's more of, in a way wherein it's also, I feel like it's, there are moments wherein it's conditional, where it's convenient to them, wherein, oh, it's okay as long as they're not my family.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is something that Filipinos need to unlearn.
Yeah.
Because acceptance is, whether it's a member of your family, whether it's someone you work with, or whether it's a stranger, acceptance is acceptance, period. It's not because I accept him because, oh, I accept him because he's rich, he's a celebrity, and that's fine. Or I accept him because he's the best friend of my sister, but I don't feel like he deserves the right to get married. So, it's,
Yeah.
and also we're also deeply rooted in the Catholic way of living, because we're predominantly Catholic country. So again, when you talk about accepting, it's different. Again, it becomes different wherein when you talk about marriage, then
Yeah.
then acceptance suddenly disappears.
Yes.
So for me, I feel like we still have a long way to go. That's why for me, I commend the the people now who are paving the way for more people to accept us, and not just in the form of just purely acceptance, but acceptance wherein you see laws being passed, you see
Yes.
our rights being protected, and I feel like really there is a long way to go, but
Yeah.
at least people are paving the way for us to get there. And in fact, a lot of people ask me, oh, a lot of people are getting married, and when are you getting married? And I always tell them, me and Nina, we talked about this so many times, and for us, we are very secure with our relationship. For me, marriage is just taking it to the next level, wherein it has to be beneficial to us as uh a member of the society, as a tax-paying member of the
Yeah.
society, meaning that we need to be able to exercise our rights as a marriage couple. And for me, if we are not able to do that in the Philippines, because I mean, we can get married in anywhere else, like
Yeah.
where it's accepted. But for us, it's that certain pride where you can get married in your own country and have the rights that you deserve. So for us, we are going to wait for that day. Hopefully we can wait and not end
In
up
our
getting married
lifetime, I
somewhere.
hope.
But I really hope that we live to to see the day.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think it's also, I know what
Hard
you mean.
question.
No, no, it's fine. And thank you for your honesty. Honestly, like I also, not a lot of people know this, right? Because I'm also a straight woman, Filipino. So I don't know the struggle of your community, and that sucks. And I also know that there's so many layers and it's unfair. I mean, even in my own family, it's the same. It's mostly like, yeah, it's okay to be gay, just please don't dress up like a woman. And I'm like,
Exactly. I hate that term. It's like, why is that even part of the conversation? Like people equate. So for me, that is what I'm saying, that acceptance shouldn't be conditional.
yes. Yeah.
It's like me telling you, I accept you, but only when your hair is long. But if you cut your hair short, no, you're
Bye.
not gonna be different. And like, it's so stupid for me. It's like, but
Yeah.
that's why I feel like we have still quite a road to get to, to journey to get
Yeah.
to that point.
Let's hope the future generation also fights for it. But I think they would be more open as well. I
Yeah.
mean, like right now, I guess our parents and our grandparents, they haven't seen so much of this community, right? So in their head, it's not normal. So
Yeah, it's
I'm
non-existent to them because they haven't seen it. They weren't exposed to it because also a lot of people were hiding and hiding. So
yes,
I think the more you are seen, the more you take up your space in this world. I think that is how people will be able to really accept you and know, your story.
yeah. And what do you think? I mean, you've mentioned it a little bit about marriage, about yeah, same-sex marriage. But what do you think are the steps we have to take as a society to be more accepting of the LGBTQ community? I mean, if you could shout out the words and give advice to these people, what do you think should we do?
Um, okay. For me, the most important thing is to educate yourself. I think a lot of these notions, these wrong beliefs stem from miseducation. And I always also tell my friends to educate people around you. Um, for me, it's you, like for example, if you're a straight individual, you need to be able to educate yourself that there's more to this world than just straight people, like to understand that, and to have the um how we the determination to educate yourself. I
Yeah,
think is very important, because for me that is the first step to be able to accept someone, is to know what it is, everything it about that person. So you have to know, like for example, like you have to know the soji of a person, you have to know what soji is, what soji
yeah,
means, um, and don't assume. Um, and,
yes,
and, and, and those are the first steps, I feel like, to be more accepting, to be accepting of our community. Um, and be respectful. Um, you know, respect everyone. And I think yun, for me, that is really the most, I think, important step that everyone must take, is to
yeah,
educate yourselves about the community, about so that you're able to understand the community, us.
yeah. And it's gender, it's so unfair, honestly, because respect should be given to human beings, right?
Yeah, yeah,
No matter the race, the sexuality, or gender, whatever. So it's really, yeah, it kind of, it can get very frustrating, at least in my own experience, not towards me, but when I hear these things, it's like, but aren't we raised to be respectful in general? So
yeah.
it's really sad. But
But yeah, and I feel like, because for me, I know, because it's what we're supposed to be doing, right? To
yeah,
respect each other. But there you can't. For me, I feel like it's sad to know that there are people who give judgments based on not knowing about a certain thing, and I feel like that's very unfair. At the end of the day, we're all human. We all um, you know um, are valid. We are all valid. We all take up space in this world. um, that's why me also, I mean, I also tell my friends that to always make it a point to educate people around you.
Yeah.
uh, and that's what I always tell also, like our circle, like my gay friends, my gay and lesbian friends, and yeah, and that given the opportunity, let's also take the moment to educate people around us. Like whenever I have a moment to teach someone about something, I grab the opportunity
Yeah.
to do it. And I think I hope that someday, we again, I'm so makulit, but I hope that someday we get there.
Yeah. I really hope so. And I hope we see it in our lifetime.
Yes, yes, exactly.
We
I'm
worked hard for it. Come on. We need to see
exactly.
it. 2020 was such a difficult year for everybody, not just in jobs or in their careers, but even in their personal lives. So I guess I'm wondering what was the biggest lesson you've learned in the last year? If there is, if not, also fine.
Oh my God. It's so hard. If there's anything that I learned in the last year,
Mhm.
it's that humans in general, are resilient people.
Yes.
Um, so that is one thing that I learned, that and it's because it's been very disheartening to see what's been happening, all over the world. But at the end of the day, the human spirit is still resilient. I would like to believe. And I learned that time is really valuable.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I really was reiterated in my mind the entire year, that time is valuable and limited,
Yeah.
and that I feel like it shouldn't be wasted on people and things that don't add value to your life. I
Yes.
think a lot of us had these realizations, but that is really something that really has struck me. How we take for granted time,
Yeah.
um, and how limited it is. So hopefully, I mean, we look at it and make the most out of our time here.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I guess that's my biggest realization
Yeah.
for the identity.
That actually ends like the overall podcast. But to end this session, we do have some ending questions that we ask our speakers. It's just also interesting to know. Just three ending question. First is, what is something you used to believe in but have unlearned? In general,
Oh
doesn't
my
have to be.
God. You know what? I so coming from a Chinese school, and from being a straight A student.
Yes.
I was such a nerd when I was young. Um, I've learned to unlearn the idea that people's parang expectation of you is your responsibility, because
Mm.
it's not.
Yes.
Uh, for me, it's don't even try to impress other people. Just I learned that you just do your best, be
Yeah.
who you are. Take your own time and pace. You don't have to hurry to get to something.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that I have unlearned as I grew. I always was bothered by, or was controlled by what people thought of me, and then I always thought that it's my doing how people perceive who I
Yeah.
am, what I am. And I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm like, I guess at a certain point in time, I just really like, wait, what are you doing? I'm like, and then as I, became older,
Yeah.
I have, learned to unlearn that notion.
Yeah.
That at the end of the day, whether people, love you or hate you, isn't your doing.
Yeah. Amen.
So you just keep on doing what you do, and 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 avoid uh putting other people's opinion on top of your goal list.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, that's so
So
good. That's so true. Um,
right, I mean, it's like that's something that we were all, I guess, that was like a very common, I don't know, trait for I don't know if it's even common, but for me, I guess, as a straight A student, and then that you want to please your teachers, your friends, your family, and then you realize that, wait, shouldn't you just be focusing on yourself, and everything
yeah.
else should follow, right? So
But I think this is also generally how we were raised because
yeah,
no, at least this is how my experience
yeah,
too because
yeah,
I was also
yeah.
a straight A student.
Uh-huh.
Because in our the way we were raised is that you need straight A's so that you can get a great job, and after
Yes,
that great job you can have money, and then you can
and
raise a
people will like
family,
you, and people will like you
and people will
because
like
you have
you.
money. Such
So
a
it's
weird
always
thinking, right?
yeah, so it's always like, so what do you do now? Like it's always about the role, the money, and who
Yeah,
are you trying to impress? Like are
yeah.
as long as you're happy with your life and content and satisfied, honestly, you have achieved more than like the rest of the world.
Yeah, and everything else on top of it is just a perk.
Yeah.
If people love you for it, then good for you. If people don't, then like
Bye.
it's bye. Like like when you reach that level of contentment, I guess, or like self, um, I would say, self, or
Self
when you are secure with yourself, with
exactly.
what
Yeah,
you
yeah.
do, then everything else is just icing on the cake.
Yeah. No, that's very true.
Mhm.
If you had to make a law that you think would make the world a better place, what would it be?
Oh my God. Okay. Oh wow. Again, another difficult question.
This is a
But
hard question, yes.
it is. It is. But for me, I think any law that has to do with equality for me is something that is needed in this world. And regulating equality is
Yeah.
something that I feel like a lot of would help a lot of communities, and not just the LGBT community, but so many communities. And I think that is also something that has really been getting out of hand, equality. So for me, I think any law with regards to, because I'm not a lawyer, but I mean, I think I would like to think that any law with regards to establishing equality amongst communities, amongst people,
Yeah.
eliminating discrimination, I think that would contribute a lot to the betterment of society.
Yeah. Because it's also true what you said a while ago. Like, it's equality. People are fighting for equality right now, and that's amazing. But at some point, it becomes very distorted.
Yeah,
Yeah, like what feminism really is, for instance. Like, it's not about hating men, it's about equality, period. That's it. So it just
exactly.
like there's just so many opinions happening. So, yes, let's regulate equality. Let's do that.
Yeah, I feel like also because it becomes too complicated already, and ultimately at the end of the day you just want equality, like
Yeah,
so
true.
I guess for me that would make the world a better place. Hopefully,
Hopefully.
we get to that.
And as our last question, what are you still unlearning right now?
Oh my God. What? Okay. What am I unlearning? Um, you know, I guess I am still unlearning the idea that you must be happy all the time. Because I'm a
Yeah.
jolly
Yep.
person.
Yep.
I'm a jolly person. I'm a very positive person. You ask all my friends, like I'm the most positive person you'll be able to meet. But the past year has taught me that and it's this is still a continuing um um unlearning process for me, that the
Yeah.
idea that you must always stay happy,
Yeah.
because like I parang there are times where I feel like my emotions define me, but really they don't.
Yeah.
Emotions are a human it's human nature,
Yeah.
and that we feel so many things, and it's okay to welcome different feelings, and to know that you are existing, uh, and feeling that, and that it's something that you may not feel it's a prolonged feeling, but then you
Yeah.
feel it and it's okay. Um so so yeah, I feel like that is something that I'm still unlearning, that you don't necessarily have to be happy all the time. It's okay to
Yeah.
feel sad. It's okay to feel like this, as long as you get to a point where you're at peace, and then
Exactly.
you can
Yeah.
become happy again, and then you go back, and I feel like that is something that I have you know struggled with,
Yeah.
um as a I guess as a jolly person, as a primarily jolly person.
Yeah.
But yeah, and now that I think about it, another thing that I'm also unlearning is the idea of that it's okay to be alone.
Yes.
I am such a freaking clingy person that I feel like, especially when I was young, I feel so weird being alone in the mall, or like
Oh, wow.
having to do errands alone, or like watching a movie alone, like. But now I am slowly unlearning that it's okay, and enjoying my alone time, my own time. And I learned that through Nino, actually, because Nino,
Ah.
we as a couple have our own me time.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Yes.
So for me, it's like me time with my friends, and that is also that's a continuous process for me till now. Slowly unlearning the idea that you're lonely when you're alone, because it's
Yeah.
okay to be alone,
It
and
is. I love being alone.
now, my God, me, like now there are times where I'm still like learning, like enjoying the moment, and then so that I guess it's something that where I'm
Yeah.
constantly trying to unlearn, because
Which is
now
good.
I really find solace in being alone,
Yeah.
and but there are moments where I'm like, oh, I don't want to be alone, and I mean that feeling, that struggle. But at least now I recognize that I
Exactly.
can I can have a good time
Yeah.
with myself by being alone and just doing what I want, and then
Yeah.
keeping my sacred space and time just to myself. So yeah.
Exactly. I mean, first step is always like recognizing that you need to do something, right? So we'll all get there.
Yes, yes.
But actually, yeah, that's the last of our questions.
Oh, okay.
And I really enjoyed talking to you. It was nice to catch up as well. I think I've learned so much from you, and thank you for sharing your experience. Thank you for being so transparent. And
Well,
yes,
thanks for having me, Kai.
yes, thank you so much. And I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.
Yes, you
Happy weekend.
too. Nice catching up, and
Yes.
thank you for having me. It was really a great experience to be able to talk about things that I wouldn't normally talk about. Like unlearning things, and it's also interesting because this session has made me also, you know, uh, discover myself,
Aw,
learn about myself also, and the things that I don't normally talk about. And sometimes you need to be able to talk about these things,
of
like
course.
the
Yeah.
things that you are constantly, because we're all constantly evolving. So thanks for giving me this opportunity to also think about things that I am, growing.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Happy weekend.
Happy weekend,
Bye.
guys. Thanks. Bye.